This conference will now be recorded.
Right? See, and see here. So this is how we can launch a browser by using syntax called Chrome driver. If you want to launch Chrome browser, you have to use this syntax. What is this syntax team? I'm creating object. For what I'm creating object? Creating object for Chrome driver class. What it will do if I call Chrome driver class? What will do team? Inside a Chrome driver class constructor, consider this is my a Chrome driver class constructor class. What is the class name? Chrome driver. What I'm having inside my Chrome driver class? I'm having a Chrome driver constructor. So what is the constructor? That is a default constructor. What is the constructor name team? Constructor name is same like a class Chrome driver, right? Now inside constructor, it will the people are written a code of what launch Chrome browser. Now this is the code, actual code implemented by Selenium people, right? So now where this class now? This class is presenting in a package. What is that package team? org.openqa.chrome driver. There is a package. Now, if you want to use this one, you have to import this package. Which package? org.openqa.chrome driver. Or else, if you want to launch Internet Explorer browser, you have to import org.openqa.internal explorer driver class. Nothing but we are creating object of that particular class. In this class, we have a methods. In this class, we have a methods, implemented methods. From where these methods getting from? These methods getting from where team? Interface, WebDriver interface. So let me show you one more time hierarchy. So our Selenium starting from one interface. What is that interface team? What is that interface? Search context. Search context. The interface name is search context. Selenium starting from the search context interface. Right? So this is my starting interface. Let me denote in red color interface. Interface. This is an interface. And now we have a child interface for this search context. What is the child interface team? We discussed yesterday, right? So we have a interface WebDriver, right? Now, now if it is an interface, can I give the implementation for methods? Can we give the implementation for methods? No, right? So if you want to give the implementation, obviously you have to take the classes. So we have a child classes. We have a child classes like this. So what are the child classes we have? Let me denote it like this. See, this is a Chrome driver. Let's consider this is a Chrome driver class. This is Firefox class, and this is Internet Explorer driver class, and this is Safari class. Here, what is the keyword we are using, team? What is the keyword you have to use here? Give me in comments. What is the keyword we have to give here? Extends, right? See, search context is an interface and WebDriver also an interface, right? See, we have to give like this because both are interfaces. So we can make relationship between interface and interface. Yes or no? And even we have a classes. What are the classes? See, my first class is Chrome driver class. And next one is, let's consider this is a Firefox class, and this is IE class, IE driver class, and this is Safari driver class. This is how actual hierarchy, and we'll discuss in detail. We'll discuss in detail, and a few changes we have to give here. See here, what are my yesterday steps team? So if you want to verify whether your application working fine or not, as of now we are taking a Gmail application. What are the steps team? First of all, we have to launch browser. After that, we have to enter URL by using a method called get method, right? After that, we have to enter your password in a search box. Let's see. See, this is my Gmail, right? So now let's consider this is browser launched by the Selenium. Now, after launching browser, you have to enter your username initially, right? See, let me say it out. Now, let's consider. So now you have launched browser. Here you have to enter your URL. So what are the URL? Sorry, username. First of all, you have to enter the URL. Now let's consider this is launched by Selenium. Now see here, if you want to enter your username, let's consider my username here, murali@gmail.com. See, if you are going a manual testing, if you are doing a manually, now you can able to see here, this is a web page. See, this is a technical word, web page. And whatever the application opening in on a web browser, it is differentiating into page by page. So this is we are calling as a sign-in page because it is a web page. If you click on this next button, it will navigate to one more page. And this is password. We are saying a password page. Now, so first one is sign-in page. In this sign-in page, see, according to Java, each and everything, and Selenium also, each and everything considering an object, right? So what is the definition of object team? Object is nothing but in general, which is having a physical entity, nothing but which is having height, weight, width, color, and which we can observe by touch or smell. That is we are calling as a entity and nothing but object. That is we are considering as object in Java, and it is a blueprint of class. Writing now Selenium, the text box in whatever you want to do on a browser, so everything it is considered as a object. Now this text box also considering an object. And already we discussed, for every object having their own properties and behaviors. Let's say I'm an object, right? I'm having the properties. What are my properties? My mobile number, my Aadhaar card, my name. So my employee ID, these are my properties. And my functions, nothing but my behaviors. What are my behaviors? I can teach, I can walk, I can speak, I can eat. These are my functions, right? And now, if you want to identify me, how you can identify? By using my appearance, right? By using my name, mobile number, and my appearance, physical appearance. And if you want to communicate with me, how can you communicate? Suppose if you have my mobile number, so that you can communicate. Here also, if Selenium wants to enter the data in this text box, if the Selenium want to communicate this text box, Selenium has to communicate this one. Then how can you communicate? For that, you have to help to the Selenium boss and this is a web page. On this web page, there is a text box. For this text box, we have a properties for whatever the element, nothing but here this we are calling as element. See, text box element, we are saying the element or object. So in general, whatever we are seeing on a web page, whether it may be a text box. So what are the operations we can do, team, on browser? So in text box, we can enter the data, right? We can enter the data like that. What are the elements we may have? Whether it may be text box, right? So we have a drop downs, right? And we have a buttons, right? We have a even radio buttons like male, female, radio buttons, and even we have a in coming classes we'll discuss how to handle two windows, right? How to navigate one window to another window. We'll discuss. So majorly we have a text box, buttons, radio buttons, drop downs, right? And each and everything, this text box, drop down, button, radio button, we are considering an one object, now one element. Now, Selenium wants to identify this element. Selenium wants to identify this property. You have to help and you have to say, boss, there is a web page. On this web page, there is a text box. Or the text box, there are some properties. Nothing but there are some identification elements. So you can identify this element and you can communicate with Selenium. Then how can you identify these text box properties? Now, if you want to identify these text box properties, observe it. Front-end developers, by the time of developing this site, developing this application, they'll give you some properties for this text box. So now you have to supply your properties, nothing but your this text box properties to the Selenium. Then, if you want to identify, if you want to see these properties, you can see like this. So now I want to identify this text box. Now I want to get the properties of this text box. How to identify them here? This text box, right click, and here if you right click, you will get some options in Chrome browser. Now observe last option. What is the last option? Inspect. If you inspect, see, this is the background code written by the front-end developers. This is we are saying as DOM. DOM nothing but document object model. What is a DOM, team? Document object model. What will DOM do? Who will create this DOM? See, by the time of implementing this application, front-end developers will give you some properties to this text box. So here, how can you identify? How can you identify? Let me show it again. Let me show you again. Just here, right click and last option, inspect. Control Shift I. Now it will open your developers tool. This is your DOM. Nothing but the document object model. Now observing, your DOM will start from what? Your DOM will start from HTML tag, right? See, DOM start from HTML. This is we are calling a tag. This is nothing but tag. Observe here. Now, and this HTML will end with again. See, observe. This is end with again HTML. And document object model starts with HTML and it's end with HTML tag like this. Inside we are having element properties. Inside we are having element properties, nothing but, and this is all one web page. From this HTML to this HTML, this is this web page. And whatever we are seeing in this web page, and those are all having under this between starting HTML to ending HTML. Clear team? How to identify? Right click on that element, whatever the element you want to identify, just inspect it. Now, if I say inspect here in this text box, some code is highlighting by a blue color. Yes or no? Now, these are all the properties of this element. These are all the properties of this element. See here. Here the element, this element starting with what? Here we are calling as tag name. What is here the tag name? Input. See, my element is starting from input. You can copy this element like this. Copy element. See, let me copy here. See here. These are all the code of that element. Text box. Nothing but text box. My text box starting from which tag? This is we are calling as tag name. What is my tag name here? Input. And so this is tag name, input, and this type we are saying as attribute. Attribute. And after the attribute, we are saying we are having one email. This is we are calling as value. Attribute and attribute value. So like this, you may have n number of attributes and attribute values for your element. Now, the the type is one attribute and this class is also one attribute and this value. And now this JS name is also one attribute and attribute value. And this autocomplete also one attribute and attribute value. Observe him. And your attribute value is always present inside with double quotes. See here, this email having with double quotes, right? So like this, attribute equals to within the double quotes attribute value. See, like this, one element having n number of properties. Properties nothing but attribute and attribute values, right? So no confusion, right? Attribute and attribute values. Observe it. Whatever is here, the highlighting blue color, that is all the code belongs to this particular text box. Now, this text box having tag name input and attributes type equals to attribute value. Email class is an attribute and again JS name is an attribute and autocomplete is an attribute and spell check also an attribute. So whatever you're seeing under orange color, right? These are all attributes. Blue color are attribute values. And these are purple colors starting with tag name. See here, div input, this div, these are all tag names. So element may have n number of properties, nothing but attribute and attribute values. But Selenium can identify the element by using some properties. So you can identify the element. You can, if you want to communicate with this text box, you can communicate with text box by using Selenium. But you have to supply a few properties of that element to the Selenium. Now, out of this element properties, Selenium can identify element properties of element can identify. First one is ID. Second one is name. Third one is class name. Next one tag name. And fifth one is link text. And sixth one is partial linked text. And seventh one is XPath. It's very important thing. In most of the companies, most of the candidates use this XPath, and you will get most of the questions in XPath only. And we have a CSS selector. Right. See here. So element may have n number of properties and properties values. Now here, if you want to identify with Selenium, you can identify these many ways. First of all, you can identify element by using its ID. Now observe whether this element having ID or not. See here, you can observe here also. See here, see here, type, class, JS name, autocomplete. See here, we are having one attribute ID equals to identify ID. Creative here. So this is ID equals to identify ID. So how to identify? We'll discuss it. So here we are having ID equals to identified ID. This is one of the attribute and attribute value for my text box. ID equals to within the double quotes we are having identified. I copied from there. Now let me observe whether it is having name or not. Now we are having, we don't have a name, but we have a class here. Observe it. So remember, all element may not have all attributes. If you want to identify, you can identify these options. So you'll have this one. We'll discuss them how to identify. Right? See, why I'm identifying this one team? If you want to communicate with browser, if you want to communicate with any element, whether it may be text box, button, radio button, drop down, or anything, you have to supply element properties. From where you are getting element properties? From browser, you can get element properties by inspecting element. Nothing but we are inspecting this text box. How to inspect? Right click, inspect. Now it will give you a DOM structure. So DOM structure is nothing but say HTML document given by the front-end developers. See your DOM structure start from /HTML tag and ends with HTML tag. Each and element having its own identification element properties and properties values. Your elements having a number of properties. Out of the element properties, Selenium can identify the element of a web element by using these properties. What are the properties? Element may have ID, name, export, CSS, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text. Right? Now, see, all the time element may not have this all the properties. It may have few properties or more than this one. Your elements having n number of properties. Observe it. See type. Can we, as of now, can we have a type here? No, we don't have a type. You can identify by using ID attribute, name attribute, class name attribute, and tag name. Tag name nothing but this one. You can identify by using this tag name. Link text. Link text we can identify by using a link text. We'll discuss it in detail, and we can show a real-time example how to identify the element by using each and every example. Now, so these 1 to 6 ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text. So you can use directly. Here we can identify elements in two ways. First way is directly we can identify or direct identification. Nothing but directly you can copy these elements by using the below properties. What we have below properties? First 6 ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text. See, directly we can copy from the browser here. See, this ID, name, ID, name, link text, partial link text. you may have here. Directly you can copy from here. See, I have an ID for this one. ID, identifier ID. See, class name. This is a class. Directly I can use this one. But this XPath and CSS, you have to constructor. You have to construct this XPath and CSS. You have to design this XPath and CSS. And second way is we have to designing by following. Following what? Following XPath or CSS. We'll discuss him beautifully. We'll discuss how to design a dynamic XPath, how to design CSS selector. Clear? And so now let's consider directly. I am having this element property. What is the property here? One of the property ID. So remember team. Remember team. I'll give you a simple example. If you want to identify me, so by using name, it may somewhat difficult. Suppose if you are using a name Murli, so Murli may be a duplicate, right? So Murli may have more number of people, but you can identify by using my Aadhaar ID or my mobile number, right? Because it is a unique, right? Because it is a unique. That's why you can directly contact uniquely by using my mobile number or ID. So, so that's why mostly you have to give a priority to identify by element for what team. First of all, priority order for identifying element. First of all, what you have to use? First of all, you have to use ID, and then you have to use CSS selector, and then you have to use XPath, and later you can use class name or name, class name, remaining you can use. So first of all, you have to give a priority for ID because ID is a unique. If you are most of the cases, 99.9% ID is unique and it cannot be used by other elements. Now let's consider. Now I'm having this ID for this element. So if I'm having this property, how to identify by using Selenium, right? So let me discuss to you. See, so what is this interface starting with my Selenium? What is the starting interface team? What is the starting interface?
Search context.
Exactly. Search context, right? See here. If you want to identify the people are implemented such a way that so one of the interface called what is that interface? Interface. My interface name is search context. See, this is the interface name. So inside interface name, we have a method called public. So return type I'll give you team. So this return type, let me give RT as of now. Return type I'll discuss return type. Find element. Find element. This is one of the method given in search context interface. So this find element method accepting a property called by property. So can I give method body here? Can I give method body here? Say yes or no team. Can I give method body here?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Ping me team. No, right? Because it is an interface. Whatever you are giving methods inside an interface, those are default, those are abstract method. So whether if you give or not, there will be a keyword called abstract. Now, my find element return type is web element. What is this web element in? Again, This is an object reference. See, this web element is an object reference. So this will be like this. So implementation. Then who is the responsible to implement this method? There is a class called remote web element. So like this class remote web element. Inside remote web element, so there is an implementation for this method. How the implementation? Find element. Now you will get implementation. How will you get implementation block? Here you have keyword like this implements. Now it is a child class of what team? Child class of like this. Clear team? Clear? Now we'll discuss team how the implementation is going on. As of now, let's only concentrate on this interface. And what is this find element method will do? This method will identify. It will use to identify elements. Elements nothing but web elements. What are we are having in web browser. So find element method is used to identify this text box, this next button, or if you want to communicate, this text box, supply this text box one of the property. So first give the priority for ID. Now if you want to identify, if you want to click this next button, now inspect this next button. Here you are having properties of this next button, span, class, next. Now supply one of the property. Now this class having this next having only class. Now supply this class. Or else we can construct either CSS or XCOS. Creating. Now one of the method is find element to identify web element. Now again we have one more method to identify elements, that is find elements. So this is used to identify element. That is nothing but it's identify element. So we can say it's a single element. One element at a time we can identify only one element. So if you want to identify multiple elements, so you have to use this find elements method. At a time we can identify multiple elements. We'll discuss it, right? So but return type of this find elements method, its return type is not a web element, it is a list of web element. We'll discuss it. What is the list, what is the set, we'll discuss by the time of executing real time example. We'll discuss what is the web element, what is the list of web element, why find element returning web element, how the implementation of web element, and why find elements returning list of web elements. We'll discuss. Okay. Now this is a search context. And see here, I told you earlier, search context, there is a one more interface, child interface for search context. What is the team? Child interface of search context. Child interface of search context is WebDriver. WebDriver also an interface, right? So let me document like this. Again, interface. What is my interface now? WebDriver. WebDriver extends what team? WebDriver extends search context. This is the interface. This is how the implementation of Selenium core team. So now we are learning Selenium with Java, right? Selenium API. What is an API team? What is the API? Selenium is an API. What is the API? API nothing but Selenium API. API nothing but application programming interface. Nothing but it's a collection of jars. Nothing but it's a collection of packages. Nothing but it's a package is nothing but it's a collection of classes or interfaces. Now each and every class having some methods, some variables. That may be class and interface. Now we have to discuss, so what are the major classes we are having, what are the major methods we are having, how to use those methods to communicate with browser, how to use the methods and the classes from Selenium in your project. Clear team? Now to identify elements, we have a two methods. What is the two methods team? If you want to identify a single method, that possible with find elements. If you want to identify multiple elements, that is possible with find elements. My find element returning web element and my find elements returning list of web elements. Here, now there is a one more interface called WebDriver. WebDriver is a child interface of search context. Inside a WebDriver, we have a methods. So yesterday we discussed, right? Yesterday we discussed one of the method. What is that method team? Let's say get method. Let's say if you are having get method like this, get method. Is this abstract method or implementation method? Is this abstract method or implementation method team? What is the use of this get method? If you supply URL, it will enter URL in browser, right? See here. Can I give like this here? Because we cannot give like this because it's an interface, right? So in interface, just you can declare methods. That's it. But you cannot give the implementation. Why? Because those are the methods are abstract methods. Abstract methods nothing but method without a method body. But who is responsible to implement your WebDriver interface method? Your child classes are responsible to implement your methods, interface methods. And this will enter URL where Chrome driver. Now you can launch browser like this. How you can launch browser? You can launch browser like this. Either Chrome driver is equal to new Chrome driver or WebDriver is equal to WebDriver equals to new Chrome driver. Why Chrome driver here? Chrome driver is a class. For Chrome driver class, we are creating object. So after creating object, if I call driver.get method, it will execute from where team. By the time you have to supply your URL here. Within the double quotes, you have to supply your URL, fully qualified URL. Now it will enter and first of all it will launch browser. Which browser? Chrome browser, because I'm creating object for Chrome driver class. And after that, if I call a get method, it will enter URL for where Chrome browser. Now this get method will execute from where Chrome driver class. How I'm able to create object of Chrome driver class with WebDriver interface? Because WebDriver is a parent interface of my Chrome driver class. Like this, if you want to launch browser of IE, you can launch. If you want to launch Firefox, you can launch. But get method is common in each and every browser. That is how the interface implementation team. So when we go for an interface, whenever you want to maintain common names with a different implementation, by the time go for an interface, take some abstract method and implementing different child classes with different implementation. Clear? And that is the use of get method. Get method where it is coming from team? Get method coming from where? WebDriver interface. Here we are having one method. What is the one method? First method, public void. Return type of get method is void. And what is the method? Get method. Get method accepting one parameter. What is the parameter team? URL. Is this abstract method, right? Or implementation method? Is this abstract method or implementation method team? This is an abstract method because this method is as of now in WebDriver interface. Clear team? So what is this method will use? It will enter URL. If you call this method in Chrome driver class, it will enter URL in where? Chrome browser. If you call this Internet Explorer class, it will enter URL in Internet Explorer. If you call this get method in on the top of object Firefox driver, it will enter URL in Firefox browser. Our Selenium supports multiple browsers, right? This is useful to enter URL. And yesterday we have seen one more method. What is that method, team? Public void quit method. So what is the use of quit method? What is the use of quit method, team?
To close the
Quit
browser.
method. Exactly, it will quit your launch browser. Right? And one more method we have, public void close method. So this is one of the important question, team. So this use of this method is this is also will close browser, but there is a slight difference here. See here, quit browser nothing but and you are quitting entire browser. Close browser nothing but here if you have a single window, it will close your window. It will close. What if I'm having multiple windows? Let's say this is my browser launched by Selenium. I am having multiple windows like this. See, if I call this one, if I call my close method, it will close current window. That's it, and it will not enter close your browser. Just it will close your current window. So if you are having multiple windows, this close method will close current window. You have to say, see, boss. So there is a difference between close method and quit method. If you call quit method, it will quit your entire browser, whether browser having the single window or multiple windows. If you call a close method, your close method will able to close only current window. Let's say so you are launch your application. Now the application having more than two windows or three windows. Let's consider it is having as of now three windows: first window, second window, third window, right? Now you got call close window. Now which one it will close? Either first one or this one. Now currently you are focusing into third one. That's why I'm saying that current window, nothing but currently focused window. This is the currently focused window, third window. And if you call this time close method, and it will close this window. Now you will again your browser will in an open state and with remaining windows. Clear, team? And these are all the methods given implementation in all the classes. All the classes means all the classes in like this. Quit method in Chrome driver class, quit method in Firefox driver class, quit method in IE driver class, quit method in Safari driver class. Same method names with different implementation. If you call a quit method, it will quit your Chrome browser. If you call quit method here, so how to launch is, see here, if I want to quit Firefox browser after launching, I have to call again, see here, first of all I have to launch Firefox browser like this, WebDriver driver equals to new Firefox. Here, for which class I am creating object? Firefox driver. The class name is Firefox driver. Inside a Firefox driver, we have an implementation for each and every methods coming from WebDriver. Now we are discussing. See, if you call a get method, it will enter URL where here. So if you supply URL like this: https://www. As of now, we are discussing Gmail application. Gmail. It will launch browser, enter URL Gmail, and after that, if I want to quit my browser, what the method I want to call it? If I want to quit my browser, what the method I want to call? Driver dot
Close.
quit method. Driver dot quit method. This quit method will execute from in which class? This quit method will execute from which class? Remember, team, method execution is always depends upon runtime object. Here, what is my runtime object here? My runtime object is Firefox driver, and it will go to the Firefox driver class, and it will check whether there is an implementation of quit method here. Here we are having quit method implementation, and it will execute quit method from this class. It will quit browse. If you understand the interface context, if you understand interface concept, now you can able to differentiate and you can get a logic. Simple logic, team. See, we can create object with a class by using self class reference. Even we can create object for a class with parent class reference or parent interface reference. Here, I can create object for my Chrome driver class by either self class reference, Chrome driver is equal to new Chrome driver, or I can create object like this, web driver is equal to new Chrome driver. And same like my Chrome driver, even I can create object for my Firefox driver class, like self class reference, Firefox driver is equal to new Firefox driver, and even I can create like this, web driver is equal to new Firefox driver. So now this driver, if you create object with parent interface reference, this driver now we are calling as a reference, not an object. This is a web driver reference, Firefox driver object. Now if you call a get method, first of all, it will check whether there is a method in get web driver interface, and if it is present get driver interface, and it will go to the implementation class runtime object. Here, what is my runtime object here? Now this time my runtime object is Firefox driver. Now the runtime object in Firefox is coming to here, and it will check whether here we are having the implementation of get method. Now the get method will execute. Now get method will execute. We are passing an URL. Now it will enter URL in browser. After that, we are calling quit method. Now this time it will call quit method from which team? Firefox driver class. Because my runtime object is now my runtime object is, and this time this is Firefox. Right. Like this, we have a method in WebDriver interface. What are the methods, team? As of now, we discussed. So get method will enter the URL, quit method will quit your browser, and close method. Close method will close your current window. Clear, team? Please let me know if you have any doubts as of now. Otherwise, we'll proceed. Any doubts, team? Hope no, right?
No doubt in
No. Yeah. Thank you. Now, the fourth one is one more method we are having, public. The method name is get title. We'll discuss, team. Tomorrow we'll discuss each and every method practically as of now. So try to understand the just method names. Here, my get title return type is string. So what it will return, team? It will execute, and after the execution, it will return your page title. Nothing but it will return your web page title. It will give you title. See team, so I'm saying that this is a web page, right? This is a web page, right? So by the time of implementation your web pages, each and every page given one a unique web page title. Now you can identify. So now, now how can I know after launching my browser whether the page is loaded or not? Let's say now I have launched this application by using my Selenium. After that, it will take a few seconds, right? Now, if I want to identify, if you want to identify whether this page is loaded or not, you can use this page title. Observe it. This is my DOM structure of this web page. Here, here you can identify the element here like this. So coming to the this DOM and here press Control F. Here I am pressing Control F. If I press Control F, you will get one text box here. From here, you can identify by element. You can identify element by using its properties, whether it may be tag name, ID, name, list text, class name, tag name, CSS, and all attribute and attribute values. We can identify the element. Now here, I can identify the tag name by using title. So how team? See here. Observe here. I'm pressing slash title title. See here. It is having a title. What is the title team? My page title? Gmail. Here. This is the title, page title. Now, always your title is starting with tag name. What is the tag name? Title. Your title containing like this. Observe this web page containing title like this. Within this symbols, it will be like this. Example title. Now the again title tag got closed. This is the how your title will be. This is the page title of Gmail. Like this, and each and every page having your web page. If you want to get this title, use the method called get title. Now, if you call my method, if you call my get title method on top of Chrome driver object, it will return this Gmail as a form of string here. That is why my return type is get title return type is string here. Here team. Now, fifth one is get title. Okay. Now, public method name is get current URL. Now, again, my current URL return type is string. What this method used team? So, if you call this method, it will return current URL. The method itself saying that return current URL. What is the current URL team? See here. By the time of navigating your application, URL may got changed. Observe here. If I click use another account, it will giving you this is the URL. Now, if you want to get the URL by the runtime, so if you call the method get current URL, it will give you this entire URL as a form of string because my current URL return type is string. It will return URL current URL in the form of string. And next, and there are the one more methods we are having public and return type. I'll tell you the method name is window handle. Window handle return type is string type. Again, the window handle is return type is string. See here, see here. After launching browser, Selenium can maintain a unique ID for your each and every window. See here, as of now, let's consider my application having a single window. This is my window. Selenium runtime, it will maintain a unique ID for each and every window. So by the time of handling multiple windows, navigating to one window to another window, this window ID will going to use you. Now, if you want to get that window ID, now your window handle method will return your current window ID. We'll discuss them. Real time we'll discuss. Right? So what my window handle return team? My window handle return current window ID in the form of string here because return type is string. And even we are having one more method. We are having one more method. What is that method name team? Now this time it is window handles. Not window handle, now window handles. Window handle return current window ID. Window handle returns all open window IDs. If you are having a multiple windows, it will give you all open window IDs, not ID, this time IDs in the form of set. We'll discuss what is set, what is list, right? In the form of set. Clear thing? And one more method we are having manage method. Void public void manage method. If you want to manage your browser settings, if you want to maximize, if you want to give few more options, so we have a method called manage. We'll discuss how this manage method will use in a real time, how this manage method is going to help. So we'll discuss in detail. Okay. Now the return type as manage is options. We'll discuss what is this options, how to use this one. And one more method we are having. Now, how to use this one? What is the use of this one? We can manage browser settings. We'll discuss what is the browser settings or how to use in real time. We'll discuss. Okay. And one more thing is public void navigate. Navigate is a method. If you want to navigate one page to another page, one window to another window, so this navigate method will going to use. So what is the main use of this navigate method? Navigate between pages. Nothing but I can say web pages. Right? So if you want to navigate between web pages, this navigate method will do. The navigate method return type is navigation. And even we have a method called sent1 public void form of string to give you page source. Every page having a source, so mostly we don't use this source, but anyway we'll discuss. Okay team, window handles, get title, get a current URL. So these are the main methods team. These are the main methods. Even we have a few more methods, but these are the mostly 99% will use these methods only. And along these methods, see anyway, my search context is a parent class interface of WebDriver. Again, we are having these methods also. Find element and find elements. See what is the get method team use? So it will enter the URL in browser. What is the quit method will use? It will quit your browser. What close method will use? So whenever you are having multiple windows on your web browser, it will close the current window, current opened window, or current focused window. Right? And next get title. What will get title will use? Get title will return your web page title in the form of string, and get current URL will return current URL in the form of string. And if you want to handle the multiple windows, that possible with window handles, two methods. Window handle return current window ID in the form of string, window handles return all opened windows in the form of set of strings. Okay, now manage window. If you want to manage your browser settings, use the manage window. If you want to navigate between one page to another page, it will use navigate method will use. And what is the return type navigate? Navigation and page source. And one more thing I'm forgetting. So public void switch to is a method. If you want to switch between one window to another window, switching between one window to other window, or if you want to handle alerts window to window between windows, I can say windows comma. If you want to handle alerts we'll discuss in how to handle alerts nothing but you can even we cannot have a frames, right? So if you want to switch one window to another window, if you want to handle multiple windows, if you want to handle alerts, pop-ups, if you want to handle frames, that is possible with the help of switch to method. Switch to method return type is target. We'll discuss each and every method. We'll discuss in detail and real time how to use this each and every method. That's it, team. So these are all the main methods in the Selenium WebDriver, and these are all the methods. If you know this method, now you can good to handle your application. You're good to test your entire application. That's it. So majorly we have these test methods, these 12 methods. If you know these 12 methods, if you know this the use of these 12 methods, you can play with your application. And remember these methods and the use of these methods. And the people are pretty interested to ask the question from these methods. So what is the difference? What is the quit method? What is the difference between close and quit? Right? So what is the difference between window handle and window handles? Why the written type of window handle string? Why the written type of window handle set of string? Right? And what is the written type of switch to? And why the find element return web element? Why find elements returns list of web element? And what is the difference between find element and find elements? Find element will use to identify the element of single element. Find elements is used to identify multiple elements at a time. Clear team? That's all for the day. We'll discuss real time these methods, how the implementation and how to use tomorrow class. Thank you team.